So I was just saying something the other day, and I'm 24 years old. We're like gonna be the next new presidents, the next senators, the next whatever. We're the next come up. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because I was talking to somebody a few years younger than me, and I just feel like the past, like you know what I mean. Every generation's supposed to get better. Every generation's supposed to be a cleaner generation. Every generation's supposed to have better, just a genetic code. Like the genetic code gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger as we progress in history. And I feel like this is the first generation where it's gotten weaker, mind, soul, and body. Like it's gotten weaker, and I feel like they want that because back then our grandparents were like the activists and the advocates and the people that fought back and stuff like that, and they weren't scared to use their voice, and they had something to say, and they united and confided in each other and stuff like that. And that's what made them strong. You know what I mean? That's what made them strong. But the government was like, oh, like if we can weaken the next generation and weaken the next generation and weaken the next generation, then we can have more power over the generation as a whole. And that's what they're doing. Like, I'm 24 years old. My generation is kind of in and out. There's some of us that like really see the issue and see a cause to fight for, and then there's other people that really just don't care and don't know what the fuck is going on. But then the next generation after that is just like it's just like scary because they don't know how to like communicate. They don't know how it felt to like, go outside with no phones and just, have fun and do certain things. Like I was talking to somebody and they didn't even know like certain things on Disney Channel. Like I remember like, watching like certain shows at like 3 o'clock in the morning because Disney had like like 8 o'clock program, 9 o'clock, you know what I mean? Like it only came on at certain times. Like this new generation like is just like I don't know, like they're supposed to be stronger than us, but the government knows what they're doing to like have them weaker in the sense of like distracted, fatigued, confused, and just like withdrawn. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's really sad because we need like we even though we are the next president and the next whatever not, like when we get older they're gonna be the ones taking care of us, and the world is going to be in their hands. You know what I mean? And they're going to get the opportunity to actually change the world, but they can't change the world if they don't even know how to communicate with themselves and understand who they are and why the world is the way they are. I feel like nobody is explaining like anything, and everybody is just kind of like going in circles on, Instagram and TikTok and all this stuff, but like nobody's actually explaining to them like the drastic like consequence of not having these skills. And I feel like it's so like the more and more we talk about certain things, the more apparent it is because like I don't know, I was just talking to them and I'm just like, yeah, we're cooked. Like, it's just like it's just a fact. Like I don't know, cause like yeah, like we're just like I don't know, we're just in a really bad spot, and I just feel like naturally it's not their fault. It's just literally the way the government worked to keep us suppressed, and the only way we cannot be suppressed is by obviously educating each other, but also by choosing to do the work. And the next generation is taught to like do the minimum of everything, minimum work of this, use ChatGPT. Like everything is so minimum that it's like they don't know like what's about to happen. Like like shit is not gonna be easy, and I don't know if we're gonna be able to handle that because we've never been through the fire. We've never been through having to be advocates and fight for things and fight for our rights and fight for this and fight for that. Like we don't know how that feels. And then the causes that we're fighting for, like, doesn't even really make sense. Like nobody understands anything to actually unify together, and that's why I feel like we're segregated. But that's what they want, because if we come together, then we have all power. And why would they want us to have power in a world where they're in control. They would never want that. So for us to be segregated in every form, and in order to segregate somebody, it's really easy when you don't have the knowledge. Look what they did to the slaves. The slaves didn't have the knowledge to understand how to get out of, economic circumstances. And that's why, like, not saying that's why slavery existed, but that was a part of why, slaves didn't even leave, because they just didn't know any other way. And so I just feel like this world, we need to educate ourselves. And if they're not going to educate us, we have to educate each other and educate ourselves, regardless of if it's hard or if it's like, troublesome, or if it takes a little longer. That's the only way we can actually make a change. Knowledge cannot be taken away from you. So if you learn, you have the ability to change things. But if you never know, then you can never do. And I feel like that is what they never wanted you to realize. It's like, okay, they're not going to give you the vital information because they don't want you to know that. Because if you know that, then you actually have power that they can't take away. And you can become an advocate like the advocates before our time. And they actually made a difference, like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, all these people just in general, and other people too, made a big difference, not because they had proper education, but they knew, they had networking, they had connection, they had unity, they knew how to come together for the right cause, and then also educate themselves. Like Frederick Douglass, like, he didn't have like the means to, go to school or whatever. I think, but he still taught himself how to read and write and do all these things. So it's possible if you are actually driven to understand, a bigger cause. He knew that was a vital skill to learn, so he did it. And it wasn't easy for him, but he learned, and that's how he got out of certain situations. And I just think that they are hindering us, and we're just letting them because we're so lazy in the mind. Like, I don't know. We're cooked. Peace, y'all.